The building is endangered.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
You know, you talk about the Superman building as it's known, and I get a lot of reaction on the radio phone lines regarding it. A lot of people like, you know, the guy bought it. He bought it with his own money. No taxpayer money for that. Who cares if it falls down? We ought to build an aquarium in it. It's just people just go. All I have to do is say Superman. People go nuts. They go nuts. And a couple of weeks ago, the Preservation Society, well, the Rhode Island group and the national group got together and made it endangered, like species, except it's a building. And we'll talk to the local guy who helped that along coming up tonight. How are you? What a beautiful summer day. It's that time of year, and en route, kids are starting to get rambunctious in school. Your host is rambunctious. Everybody feels that way. But the most important conversation is the winter game that continues and has one more episode in it. It is Game 7 coming up on Wednesday night. The Bruins win and just slap the Blues around. That city is blue right now because they must know inevitably Wednesday ain't going to happen for them. That was their moment, right, Kev?
I hope so.
That was their moment.
Yep.
Kev's my big sports guru guy, super fan, so to speak. They just went in there on a mission, and Tuukka was unbelievable. Even the goal that scored was a great save. You have to see the video. So get yourself ready, because reportedly, recent polls show that the number one franchise in New England, obviously, is the Patriots. Then come the Red Sox. Then come the Celtics. And the Bruins are like a fourth fan base. Now, hockey always kind of rides in there statistically that way. But let me tell you something. The enthusiasm for the Bruins around here seems to be a whole lot higher than it is for the Celtics, whether the Celtics are pursuing a world championship or not. But who am I to know? I'm just saying it's exciting. And I'm a Ranger fan. The only sports franchise that I actually have an empathy for are the Bruins. So I'm with you on Wednesday night. Maybe we'll do a little preview on it tomorrow night if we get a chance. In the meantime, this. What is this? Here's what the network had. Then we'll try to work this out for a minute.
President Trump is touting the immigration deal the U.S. struck with Mexico in order to avoid tariffs. Mexico has agreed to accelerate its National Guard presence on its southern border starting today. It has also agreed to expand a program requiring asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while their claims are processed in the U.S. President Trump called into CNBC this morning.
This is something the U.S. has been trying to get for over 20 years with Mexico. They've never been able to do it. As soon as I put tariffs on the table, it was done. It took 2 days.
President Trump says another immigration deal with Mexico has already been signed, tweeting, "It will be revealed in the not-too-distant future and will need a vote by Mexico's legislative body."
Most people understand that the people having to do with borders and illegal immigration and immigration of any kind, they understand exactly what that is. But we purposely said we wouldn't mention it for a little while.
CBS News has learned the U.S. and Mexico discussed what's called a safe third country agreement, which would force Central American immigrants to seek asylum in Mexico instead of the U.S. That specific agreement would need to be approved by Mexico's legislature.
Yeah, let me just say this. This part of whatever's going on with Mexico just comes out, right, over the weekend. But he put the tariffs on and nobody wanted them. Nobody. The Republicans in the Senate didn't want them. The market, drops 400, 500, 600 points. Nobody wanted them. So he pulled them back because nobody wanted them. And his celebration of the idea that, he kind of negotiated his way into some kind of success, it just doesn't make, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. That Mexico is doing this now, is an interesting byproduct. And you know, if this ends up being something that slows the pace of illegal immigration over the border, then we'll give the president all sorts of credit for that. And he deserves it when he, makes a good decision. But I will tell you, the bombacity over this whole thing is a little bit too much. Nobody in this country wanted those tariffs. And the idea that Mexico was like, ooh, about it, it's kind of like, as a parent, when, I don't know, you've paid for something for your kid, but your kid's acting up, and you say, I'm going to take that away. And they're like, yeah, right, Dad. You already paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Mexico kind of looks at Donald Trump like, yeah, what? Okay, yeah, whatever. Our economy is important to your economy, so yeah, okay, whatever. Let's move on to the conversation of the day. The Superman building endangered. It is. I think the psychology and the economy of Rhode Island, in part, is endangered by this rotting edifice myself, to be honest with you. And let's take a look at the latest story, and I'll explain with my guest.
111 Westminster, or the Superman building, is always under Roger Williams' watchful eye. But now the National Trust for Historic Preservation is taking its turn.
This building is irreplaceable.
Providence's tallest skyscraper has been named one of America's 11 most endangered historic places.
And for the Industrial Trust building to be included on that list really says a lot about the importance of the building.
Brent Runyon with the Providence Preservation Society says they submitted the building for the designation. The Art Deco beauty has been vacant since 2013. City and state leaders have tried to woo tenants but have had no success. Now, as the years pass, Runyon says the building is showing its age.
So that's what we see now, is water getting in there and causing parts of the limestone to pop off.
A spokesperson for the current owner, David Sweetser, says they have no comment on the endangered designation, but said they inspect the exterior annually and any loose mortar is removed or repaired. They've also been keeping the heat on. But now, with the National Trust on board, Runyon hopes fresh ideas will lead to a rebirth.
They're bringing the types of tools that we bring locally, but at a much greater scale. There's nothing like this that, nothing can replace this building.
Who's fresh ideas?
Well,
just listen to the radio show, and they just go, man.
Yeah.
People love an aquarium. I'm thinking, I don't think so.
Don't we already have an aquarium in Rhode Island? Or do it?
No.
Not at all? Oh, well, maybe it's worth exploring.
Mystic, Boston.
That's
we don't
close
have one
enough.
here.
That's close enough.
I don't know. The aquarium thing just comes up all the time. I just kind of think, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
How did this start?
Well, it started when Bank of America moved out in 2013, and we put it on our endangered list.
Yeah.
And we explored getting it on the national list in 2015, but it hadn't been vacant that long, so we got a pretty strong sense they wouldn't consider it. But this year they were very interested. They've been really involved in trying to bolster this idea that dense older cities, densely packed older cities, are things that appeal to majority populations like baby boomers and millennials. Providence has that going for it, and they see this as a really, as we do, a black hole in the middle of our city.
What's the dynamic of your local organization to the national organization? Is this kind of like a big deal for you that you got one of your buildings on a national list? Is this, I don't know what the equivalent industry thing is, but you know what I'm talking about. This is kind of big stuff in the preservation world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have, like us, they have an awards program and they have an endangered places program. So for any building in the smallest state to be listed on their 11 most endangered list is a huge deal. We've only had 2 buildings in Rhode Island in the 30 years they've been doing it. A lighthouse, one of the lighthouses on Block Island, and the Cranston Street Armory. So I assume the lighthouse has been taken care of. I don't get out there too often, unfortunately. The Armory, still struggling, obviously. So, but yeah, it's a big deal. They bring national attention. I mean, since they sent out their national press release to the media, I've gotten contacted by tax credit consultants from developers in other states who are interested in talking to the owner. So just in the week or so that it's been out, I've gotten some interest. Now, whether or not the existing owner would be interested in any of that, I don't know.
Tax credit consultants, that means public-private finance program of some kind,
right,
which runs into the political black hole that really is Rhode Island government. When we come back, we'll talk about that and what the possibilities are, including an aquarium, I guess. Stay with us. Some before and after photos, I mean, you know, historical photos of the Industrial Trust building. Let's talk about the genesis of the local preservation society's desire to put this thing on the list. You didn't pal around with the ownership on this at all.
Not at all.
What happened here locally?
You know, locally, for several years, they had something at the General Assembly. I think they were trying to have some kind of...
Well, we've had two passes at the General Assembly to try to get some kind of package together that would incorporate people like the folks who've called you now, who now are paying attention, meaning tax credit consultants and all those people who eyeball those situations. But that means taxpayer money either before or after, plus equity. It's called a public-private partnership.
Right.
I believe, and I think you and I have talked about this, that is probably the only format for a solution for this building. That there is no pro forma that will allow for exclusive private development of that building. But let's get to that in a second. So you guys were what, chatting it over? What happened?
Yeah, you know, so just to be clear, we have not been part of any of the proposals. We've supported public-private partnerships, but we've not been part of the development team. We're not privy to the ins and outs of who the Department of Commerce is showing the building to, or what the developer's floor plans look like, what his financing looks like, none of that. So we've watched from sort of afar as nothing happened. They've been trying some things and nothing's happened. So we thought, well, what can we do as a preservation society? People expect us to do something. So what we thought we could do is actually bring some national attention, which maybe somebody from afar will say, well, we did a building just like that in this other city. We know how to take it on. Maybe that's something that hasn't been
we
thought
know?
of
I mean,
yet.
the trust, the Preservation Society has how many members? The board, whatever.
Yeah, Providence Preservation Society does have about 500 member households, a 23-member board.
Okay.
So we're fairly small.
You meet regularly?
The board, sure. Yeah.
Weekly, monthly?
Yeah, every month or so.
And so this has been kind of on the agenda. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's a lingering. Every night I commute home for some reason when it's a commute in I don't catch it, but as I commute home on 195 I look at it every night and go, oh man.
Yeah, no,
every night.
Absolutely. I mean, the people that are involved with the Providence Preservation Society love Providence. They love the architecture, the life, the culture. And so in 2014 we put it on our endangered properties list for the first time, our list, not the national list. And it was on there for a couple years, then I decided to take it off. And I thought, well, everybody knows it's endangered. Why put it on there? Well, I caught hell for that. Yeah, so the board said we will have that number one on our list every year.
Your members?
From my board, the community, saying why isn't it considered endangered anymore? And I said, well, that's true. I just assumed that you would know that without me putting it on my list. So we put it back on the list, and it will remain at the top of our list until something happens to get it back in service.
How long was the application or interest process to get the national group to put it on the national list?
Ooh, I think that started at the end of last year.
So it takes a while.
The nomination, I think, has to be entered in January, February.
Do they come visit?
They have regional representatives. I think they already knew about the building. They had an office in
Is
Boston.
there an expiration to being on the list, or once you're on the list, you stay there until you're not endangered anymore?
Their list is 1 year.
Oh.
1 year list. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So they're unlike us. They revolve things because there are a lot of buildings.
Repeat? Do they stay on them?
I don't know that. For
Okay,
sure.
I guess it's just kind of like preservation trivia here. But what I'm trying to get, what I'm trying to feel here is whether this designation creates the kind of sustained momentum that is probably necessary. Because, it's kind of like. It's like a really bad tooth in the city. If your teeth are the cityscape, it's like a really bad tooth. But once once people stop talking about it and they accept that you got a bad tooth, they don't talk to you about it anymore. They're kind of what, Dan's got a bad tooth.
Right.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Providence has got a historic building that's sitting there rotting, and They'll figure it out. It'll fall down. I mean,
Yeah.
the malaise around this is
That's
alarming.
That's it exactly. Do you remember when we were doing tours back in 2015?
Yes.
We had thousands of people on a waiting list to go in that building. Because most people have only been in the banking hall, maybe. But there are a lot of new people in town that have never been in the building. I mean, there's such interest. You're not hearing it on your radio show, but there are people who are supportive of a public-private partnership with the state.
Oh, listen, I'm
You know,
sure
it's-
the real pulse of the community surpasses. I hate to break it to you, folks. The phone lines on a radio show don't always reflect the pulse. They reflect part of the angry pulse that's out there.
Sure.
I didn't think the pulse was against the public-private partnership for the PawSox.
Right.
But
right.
you know, the politicians ran from polling data that, when asked the wrong way, gave them the numbers that they could remain afraid of. I am sure if we did a poll that said, "Do you want tax money to save the Superman building?" it would go down. 80% would say no. If you said, "Do you realize that every major asset?" I don't know where camera was. Sorry. If you point to all the major assets in the community and show their public-private partnership generated, do you think this could be one of those?
Right, it's all the way you phrase it.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there is an amount of interest, but I think the problem has been from the first time they went to the legislature, it was such a high amount, and we were so soon after the recession. It was a no-go. In the following year, maybe the same thing, I think. But you know, now we're in this tremendous period of investment in the city and the state, with some help from Governor Raimondo's government and this, you know, the legislature. And you know, if we don't refocus, which we're hoping this national attention will do, if we don't refocus, then what's going to happen if we hit another bump in the economy? I mean, this is the time to get that going. Otherwise, I mean, you know, it's a cyclical economy. If we wait another 10 years for the economy to rebound again, assuming it goes down, where will we be? I mean, if we don't do it now. So we're hoping this national attention will get the legislature to focus on it next session. We know it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, see, this is a classic catch-22 chicken or the egg situation. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
She should be.
Now here's the construction phase back in the day, 1920, whatever it was, which, by the way, is amazing to me. And I don't know if they built them better. You talk to contractors, there'll be all sorts of debate as to whether buildings were built better back in the day, whatever the day was. But that was probably a very exciting time in the city when that building was going up. Mm-hmm. The idea that anybody would like to see that building come down, I find to be horrifying. Mm-hmm. I think that while it's not killing the economy or killing the city, if you're not moving forward, you're going backward, I think. Don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that thing has got to be fixed. But here's the thing. You say, well, I hope the General Assembly, with this designation of the, you know, making the top list of endangered buildings, you know, does something about it. I think it's going to be deal-oriented. And I think that's what the ownership is most concerned with. Who, by the way, did not coordinate with you on this at all, correct?
That's right.
You did this independently.
That's right.
I think they are looking for some kind of tenant to be an anchor tenant to that thing, and then they think that it'll kind of fall in place. And if there is a specific entity that says, look, you know, I want 100,000 square feet, we want to do, you know, 3 floors of office space, but we want to do retail here, and blah. And then the rest of the building could fill in, and the incentives from government
sense.
Would be there for that.
Sure.
That
makes
seems
sense.
to me.
Yeah,
I just don't think they're going to put a package together to entice. I think it's on the ownership's responsibility to find something that they say, hey, we've got one, can you help? Right?
Yeah, no, I think I've heard that too, I think it feels like a little chicken and egg.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? So how do you, they don't want to invest without knowing there's something, but then how do you set your rates without knowing what the state's willing to invest?
Yeah, but I think this is
Right.
a one-off project. I don't think this is, I have long complained that there is no, like 195, for instance, you know, for the longest time, and even still now to a certain extent, doesn't have the kind of shopping rate card that it should for redevelopment.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's going to be a shopping rate card for the Superman thing. I think it's going to be deal specific.
Right.
You know, so anybody who's interested in that's got to know that government's going to have to come to the table to kind of help it.
I think that's right. But I know the Secretary of Commerce has brought industries like PayPal. I know they looked at it, but I don't know how that works. I'm not a developer, but I'm just say I was, and you showed me a building that was not fixed up, and it would be 2 to 3 years before I could move in. How does that work? You know,
I don't know.
you put them somewhere else.
I don't know how any of this works. I just know that leadership is required. I say things like this all the time. You know, if Cianci, God rest his soul, love him or not, was here, that building would not be, that he would be rattling more cages, making more deals, backroom threats, whatever, to get something going on with that thing.
Yeah.
And Mayor Lorza seems just to be kind of staring at it. Everybody else just seems to be staring at it. The city council seems to be staring at it. And the Fane building thing has kind of drawn the attention, at least all last year. We have pictures of that, Kev, right? The Fane building, which is kind of on its own like weird space right now, malaise-wise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure.
You guys didn't like it. You guys didn't like this
We didn't
idea.
like it. No. I mean, it's going through a process. There's also a lawsuit pending against the city council for their rezoning. So there are a few things going on that we're not in the middle of, but. Yeah, last year that took everyone's attention, and yet we had the largest building in the state sitting there empty. So it's sort of like, what are we doing here?
Right? If I'm the elected leader of the city of Providence, and to a certain extent the governor, I step in and I say, listen, guys, this Fane building is interesting. We're not doing that until we fix this.
Yeah, and you know, the Senate president.
We're going to put all our chips in and get this eyesore back to. And if we got to buy out this guy at a discount, and he takes his hit, if we got to partner with him, we've got to put a full court press on to find the reason. And I'm not sure what the research says that building ought to be.
Well,
but I would demand
that's
it.
a good question.
And right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've talked about housing early on. I think more recently they were looking at mixed use. I don't know exactly where we are at this point.
So does your group that got this thing on the list, now it's like, hey, we did our job, we'll watch now, or are you going to put political pressure on elected world? Tell me, you got a 60-second last minute. What is the step now?
Well, the next step is to figure out our one-year strategy, basically, to...
while you're endangered.
Exactly. So we've got a few months to really start talking to the player, the owner, the development team that he's put together.
Are they taking your call?
Person. Oh, sure. We talk to them pretty regularly. But I think we're all, maybe, I don't actually know what they're doing necessarily. They may be doing some things I don't know about. But we definitely want to coordinate with them more to try to get something happening before a year from now. I mean, this is our big chance. And if that means bringing somebody in to partner with the developer, to bring some thinking about the development mix, to think about financing.
But we haven't had much elected official response to this, have we? There really hasn't been much said.
Unfortunately not. Again, like you said, who's championing this building? It doesn't seem like the Senate president was a champion a couple years ago. There was a press conference and he spoke. He is, of course, a champion of anything that puts labor back to work. Right. So, I would hope that he would take the lead on this.
All right. Well, we'll see. Keep in touch with it. Congratulations on making the list.
It's a dubious distinction.
Yes, it is. Sure. Thanks, Brent. Final word when we get back. It really is chicken or the egg, but I will tell you that building rotting on the city's cityscape ain't helping anybody. What's next? See you on the radio at 3 tomorrow on WPRO and back here tomorrow night. Good night.